So, there are many fan favorite characters in Squid Game, but there are also some characters who fans absolutely hate. And today, we are going to take a look at the hidden backstories of some of the craziest participants from Squid Games. So, without wasting any time, let's start this list with the recruiter, also known as the salesman. So, he was a man who worked as a recruiter for the Squid Games, appearing as a good-looking, polite, and wise man. His true personality behind those traits shows a ruthless and sadistic man. The recruiter was a guard from the Squid Games who earned the trust of the game's creator over time. He was initially a worker before being promoted to soldier. He killed his own father during one of the games. After raising his position, the recruiter was given the opportunity to work outside the game in the real world to recruit other players. The recruiter was the first point of contact between the players and the organizers of the games. With his briefcase of cash, he lured players in by offering them an easy way to make money. After playing a game with the players, he gave players a card with a logo and a phone number for the players to call for the chance to play more games and make money. If players wished to participate and called a number, the recruiter would instruct them to state their name and birth date before allowing them to play. In 2020, the recruiter began to recruit players for the 33rd Squid Game, including Cho Sang-woo, Kang Sae-byuk, Ali Abdul, Jang Deok-soo, Han Min-yoo, and Ji Young. After 455 players were recruited for the 33rd Squid Game, the recruiter approached who would ultimately be the last player, Seong Gi-hun, on the subway. He asked Gi-hun to play with him where the winner would receive 100,000 won. Gi-hun reluctantly agreed to play. Gi-hun failed the first round, but the recruiter succeeded. He asked Gi-hun if he had any money, to which Gi-hun declined, and got slapped in the face as an alternate for the 100,000 won. Gi-hun decided to keep playing only to lose and get slapped in the face several times until eventually winning. He tried to get revenge on the recruiter by trying to slap him, but the recruiter blocked him and gave him the prize money. He then offered Gi-hun a chance to participate in the 33rd Squid Game, but Gi-hun was doubtful. The recruiter then revealed that he knew about Gi-hun's debts to banks and loan sharks, and reminded him as a way to persuade him. When Gi-hun asked how he knew this information, the recruiter gave him a business card and asked him to call soon as there weren't many spots left, and exited the subway station. After him, we have Hwang In-ho, aka the frontman. So, he started out as a highly decorated South Korea police officer with high sense of duty and justice. His father remarried to Park Mal-soon, and they had a son, Hwang Jun-ho. At some point in his life, he gave one of his kidneys to his brother. When his wife suffered from liver cancer during her pregnancy, the doctor revealed that she had to make two choices: terminate her pregnancy and live, or go through with it but risk death. His wife was adamant to save her child, even at the cost of her life. Since finding the donor and covering the transplant operation was too expensive, In-ho was forced to borrow money from a criminal, which was mistaken for taking a bribe. Despite his perfect track record and the circumstances of his wife, his superior fired him without a second thought. Desperate, he entered the 28th Squid Game and won, but it was too late as his wife passed away before he could use the winnings to pay for the surgery. Maddened with grief, he agreed to join the Squid Game crew as the frontman ever since. About a week before the 33rd Squid Game began, he left his apartment and didn't contact his family. This resulted in Jun-ho believing he had gone missing. He visited his apartment to investigate and discovered an invitation card for Squid Game, prompting him to reach out to Gi-hun, who'd attempted to report the Squid Games to the police with an identical card. After being rebuffed, Jun-ho tailed Gi-hun when he was picked up by Squid Game staff, allowing him to infiltrate the games. The frontman is first seen as he walks into the room where workers are monitoring the players through cameras. When the players enter the area for the first game, the front makes a phone call, telling the person on the other end that the preparations are complete and the game can begin. He then starts watching the game on a big screen while listening to a jazz song and drinking whiskey. Next, we have Gi-hun. So, he was born on October 31st, 1974, in Seoul, where he grew up with his mother and remained as an adult. He was childhood best friends with Cho Sang-woo and Park Jung-bae, with the former with whom he developed a very close and brotherly relationship. They would play multiple children's games together, including Squid Game, Red Light, Green Light, and Dalgona. When playing and winning Squid Game, Gi-hun stated he felt as though he owned the entire world at that moment. During his youth, he attended Daehan Technical High School. Gi-hun worked on Assembly Team 1 at Dragon Motors for 16 years, but was later laid off and went on strike with his other employees. During the strike, one of his co-workers died. This happened to be the same day his daughter, Ga-young, was born. In the following years, Gi-hun ran a restaurant called Ga-young's Chicken and later a snack bar, both of which eventually failed, and he worked as a chauffeur for 5 years. After divorcing his wife, she got custody of their daughter and remarried. A debt-ridden chauffeur and gambling addict, Gi-hun initially depended upon his mother for financial support and became heavily indebted to loan sharks. After winning a game of dakji with a salesman in a Seoul metro station, Gi-hun was given an invitation to participate in the 33rd Squid Game. He agreed to enter the Squid Game to pay off his debts and be able to financially support his daughter, so she would not have to move away from South Korea with her mother. Next, we have Subong, aka Thanos. So, prior to Subong's entry in Squid Game, he gained fame as a rapper under the stage name Thanos. At some point, he would go on to win second place in Rap Battlegrounds, a rap battle tournament, missing first place after forgetting his lyrics. He was also an avid fan of YouTuber Lee Myung-gi and claims to have watched every video posted under his channel. When Myung-gi began promoting a new cryptocurrency called Dalmatian, Thanos decided to invest all the money he had made from rapping, which was around 500 million won, into the coin. Unfortunately, the cryptocurrency turned out to be a scam, and he would fall into a debt totaling 1.19 billion won. Feeling like his life was over, Thanos went to a bridge to kill himself before being stopped by a recruiter who offered him a chance to win all his money back after a game of dakji. Thinking that the opportunity was some sort of divine intervention, Thanos entered the Squid Games in a last-ditch effort to start a new life and make his mother proud. Up next, we have Kang No-yul. So, she was born on June 25, 1994 in North Korea. As an adult, she became a soldier and gave birth to a child during or before 2017. Soon after that, she defected to the south by killing her superior officer and escaping to the demarcation line, and she was forced to leave her newborn baby behind due to this. In 2021 or 2022, No-eul began working as a part-time performer in an amusement park to earn money to find her lost daughter and lived and slept in her car. She slept in her car outside the amusement park when a police officer woke her up and told her not to sleep there anymore, to which she reluctantly agreed. She was in her bunny costume when she saw the young child Na-yeon and gave her a lollipop. As she and her co-workers returned to their dressing room, Na-yeon appeared and went over to No-eul, giving her a sketch she made of the two of them. She is flattered, but then the girl noticed scars on her arm, which she hastily covered up. Another co-worker entered, swearing and without the head of his costume. This caused Na-yeon to burst into tears, and her father, Park Gyeong-seok, arrived and left with her. No-eul learned that Gyeong-seok was an artist at the park and that Na-yeon has blood cancer. That night, No-eul slept in her car again and was woken up, believing it to be the police. She apologizes and goes to move her car, but instead the person hands her a Squid Game card and leaves. The next day, she quits her job and refuses her manager and co-workers' offers of dinner. They wonder how she managed the job like a costumed performer with her personality, mentioning in all of the years of them working together, she never spoke directly to anyone. Leaving the park, No-eul sees Na-yeon being loaded into the back of an ambulance and Gyeong-seok rushing to see her. In the confusion, his daughter's strawberry hat is left behind. No-eul goes to the hospital with the hat and returns it to the unconscious girl, then holds her hand and leaves before anyone sees her. That night, she calls the number on the card and gives her information before burning it along with Na-yeon's drawing. She then headed to a large storage facility and signed in as Guard 011 before putting on her triangle uniform. Up next, we have Kang Se-byuk. So, she was born in North Korea. She is the second of 3 children. When she was young, her older brother and grandparents died from a plague. She and her family defected from North Korea, but only she and her younger brother Kang-chul were successful. Her father was killed during the attempted escape, and her mother was captured and sent back. Her brother stayed in a shelter while she worked as a pickpocket and attempted to save enough money to buy a home for her brother and bring her mother to South Korea. She originally worked with gangster Deok-soo, but decided to go independent, creating animosity between them. Agreed to enter the Squid Game to compete for the prize money to pay a broker and bring her mother to South Korea and get her brother out of the shelter. After surviving the first round, she is among the minority of players who vote to continue the 33rd Squid Game despite the risk of death. After her, we have Geumja. So, she was born sometime around the 1940s. Geumja survived the Korean War during her childhood. She got married to an unnamed man and had a son named Park Yong-sik. However, her marriage was an unfaithful one, as her husband had a steady extramarital affair. Over the years, Geumja helped over a dozen pregnant women deliver their babies in her local neighborhood of Bongcheon-dong. Her son Yong-sik continued to live at home with her as an adult and racked up a significant amount of debt due to his gambling habit. Her husband died at some point before October 2004, and later as a committed mother, Geumja joined the Squid Games in hopes of winning enough money to pay off her son's gambling debt. She wakes up in the Squid Game dormitory alongside the 455 other contestants. There she quickly bumps into her son and scolds him for joining the Squid Game, telling him that she joined to get the money to pay off his debts. Her son assures her that she does not need to go that far for him. After her, we have Hyunju. So, details about Hyunju's early years, including her life before transitioning, remain scarce. What is known is that she once enjoyed the strong support of her family and friends. At an unspecified point, Hyunju enlisted in the military, where she climbed the ranks to become a sergeant. Before the 36th Squid Games, Hyunju began her transition as a woman. However, her family distanced themselves from her because of this, and her friends grew increasingly absent. Following her discharge from the army, Hyunju found herself isolated and unemployed. She relocated to Gwangmyeong for a fresh start and looking to escape her mounting debts and pursue the surgeries necessary for her transition, Hyunju entered the 36th Squid Games. Then she was chosen as the 120th contestant to win the prize money to fund her move to Thailand and rebuild her life. Next, we have Kyung-suk, who is a caring and determined father who by most was merely noticed as meek and pitiful artist. His only daughter, Na-yeon, was suffering from blood cancer, and she joined him at his job as an artist at an amusement park. One day, she received a lollipop from No-yul, another worker in her bunny costume, causing her to follow No-gyul and leave her father. He eventually found her in the changing room with the costumed mascots. He apologizes to No-gyul and takes Na-yeon outside. The following day, whilst he is working, Na-yeon collapses and is loaded into an ambulance. He hears of this and manages to reach the ambulance before it leaves without him, accidentally leaving his daughter's strawberry hat behind. Later, in order to pay for her treatment, he ended up joining the Squid Games. Up next, we have Junhee. So, Junhee dated a popular YouTuber known as Myung-gi, who became involved with a cryptocurrency. She bought the coin at his behest and lost large amounts of money when it was revealed to be a scam, and she broke up with Myung-gi soon after. At an unknown time, Junhee got pregnant because of Myung-gi. He knew about this and told Junhee to get an abortion, but she didn't. After Myung-gi vanished for 6 months, Junhee believed he had died, likely murdered by someone who he scammed. Later, she plays Dakji against a salesman, a game she is very skilled at, causing her to win more times than him. She receives the card from him and heads to a gynecology appointment, where she attempts to call Myung-gi, but he does not answer, provoking her to leave before seeing the doctor. Unbeknownst to her, Myung-gi was approached by a salesman at the same time. Junhee wakes up in the dormitory and recognizes Myung-gi as he is confronted by one of the guards, and then again by 2 of his former subscribers, Thanos and Namgyu, who he scammed. However, she does not reveal her presence to him. Next, we have Namgyu. So, Before the games, Namgyu worked as a club promoter at Club Pentagon, where he became acquainted with the rapper Thanos. He was an active Vocaloid user as well, having tried nearly every street drug he could obtain through his position in the clubbing scene. In 2024, he also invested large amounts of money in a cryptocurrency on the advice of the YouTube channel MG Coin. Unfortunately, the currency turned out to be a scam, and Namgyu lost over 300 million won when the rug was pulled. This led him to participate in the Squid Games, where he hoped to find a quick way to settle his financial problems. Throughout the games, he forms an alliance with Thanos. Namgyu becomes an accomplice to Thanos, and together they plan to take down Myung-gi, whom they blame for their respective downfalls. Their alliance is not only based on a desire for vengeance, but also on the desperation they both feel after losing everything in their lives. So, the last person in our list is Oh Il-nam. As a child, Oh Il-nam would play with his friends until they got bored. Some of the games he played during his childhood included red light, green light, marbles, and tug of war. Then, at some point he got married and had a child. Eventually, he became a businessman and tycoon, but got bored with living a rich lifestyle. He then befriended some clients in his financial corporation who shared his thoughts on life being no fun for them despite their riches. Wanting to have some fun, he and his clients came up with the idea of the Squid Games, which began in 1988. His clients became the VIPs, who have spectated the games ever since. He himself became the host, spectating the games alongside the VIPs from 1988 to 2019. He rationalized the games by stating that they offered some fun and believed that poor people who played the games suffered as much as wealthy people in terms of lacking purpose. Throughout his life, he was always looking for new ways to have fun, and he seems to have affection for his family, especially his son, based on how he speaks about them. By 2020, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor and had not long left to live. Wanting to relive his childhood memories before his death, he believed he would have more fun playing the 33rd Squid Game rather than watching it. So yeah, that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.